You know, they say Murphy's Law is always lurking around to cause problems. Murphy's Law says if anything can go wrong, it will, and at the worst possible moment. And so I want to repeat what I said, and my microphone was not in the place for you can hear it. So let me take it from the top. You have something special. You have greatness in you. Hi, I'm Les Brown. And I want to talk to you about this place where we are. Sunday is Easter. And this time of the year, it's about new beginnings. Remember, it seemed like it was just yesterday when it was January the 1st and we made resolutions, and studies indicate that only 8 out of 100 people kept their resolutions and made the goals and dreams they set for themselves become a reality. But they're 92% that they did not do that. They forgot it as fast as they claimed it. But for those of you that are serious, my message is not for everybody. My message is for that 8%. Those are the people that are serious. He that hath shall get, and he that hath not, even that he has shall be taken away. I want to talk to people who are ambitious. I want to talk to people to listen to me that are not willing to settle for life as it is. I want to talk to people who want to live life. It's one thing to survive, but what it takes to live, that requires a different set of skills. So one thing that I'm encouraging you to do, that I'm doing, is I'm taking time to work on me and to get to know more about me. Because if you don't know who you really are, as opposed to the kind of person you were before the world got its hands on you, if you don't know that and you've bought into the culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self, when you don't have a sense of self, when you don't have a strong identity, that takes away your purpose and the meaning of your life, and that puts you on a path of self-destructive behavior. That's why you see so many young people and you look at it and say, you know what? Aliens do exist, and they don't know how to pull their pants up. So as you look at yourself, take the time and ask yourself, as you are living this life that you're living, is this me? Is this working for me? You ever been in a relationship where the relationship was working for the other person, but it wasn't working for you? You were in a relationship with somebody that's always there when they need you, but when you need them, they can't be found. It's a time for self-awareness. It's a time to elevate your relationships and your knowledge and your skills and the value that you bring. New beginnings. We always have a choice. Every day represents something that we can claim and say, I'm going to make the rest of my life the best of my life. Hey, it is true that we have at any moment in our lives, we can change directions. I was upset about something, and my business partner, he said to me, don't get angry, just be decisive. Don't get angry. Somebody betrayed my trust, somebody that I loved and believed in and had their back, and I thought they had mine, and it did not happen that way. Has that ever happened to you? And so I had to rethink the relationships that I have. And I had to ask the question, who can I count on and who should I count out? Because at the end of the day, this thing called life is like an elevator. The higher you go up, you have to stop and let some people off. Who is it in your life, as you just think about it right now, that you need to open the door for and stand there until you get off? So that they don't cramp your style, so that they don't toxify and pollute your mind with their toxic behavior. Yeah, we have to promise ourselves to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We pray as if everything depends upon God, but work as if everything depends upon us. Those are the words of Mary McLeod Bethune. You have something special, a time for new beginnings, to do inventory of yourself, to get access to the unlimited potential that's waiting for you to tap into it. As Dr. Miles Monroe would say, to rob the cemetery of your dreams, of your gifts, of your leadership, of your books, of your music. Yeah, you're here for a reason. There's something that would not be here. You're a missing piece of the puzzle. God needed your presence here at this point in time for our children and our children's children and for generations yet unborn. The time for new beginnings. What a blessing. We're here, all because of God's grace and mercy. I say to you, honor yourself by looking at your life, taking personal inventory, and be honest with yourself. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And decide that you're going to upgrade your environment. Your environment affects you. Your environment, it can change you. Your environment matters. It begins to affect how you see yourself, and how you see yourself will be represented in your thoughts and your actions and the achievements that you make or you don't make. This is a time that requires new skills, new thinking, and a hunger to live your greatest life.
Many of us are facing, in our own way in our life, that moment, right? We're backstage. Some of us have someone that's cheering us on some of the time. Many times we don't. What advice do you have for people, for me, all of us that have that moment on a regular basis, right? And are trying to figure out, we heard how you were able to overcome it in that circumstance. I'm sure you've had to do it many other times. What advice do you have for folks that feel that they know exactly what you're talking about? It wasn't that situation, right? But it's something that feels like it in their life right now, and they don't know how to go out there and walk and go see 80,000 people.
I'm glad you asked me that question. I decided that as a result of my talking to Mike, and he asked me, who do you want to speak to? And at that time, I had a limited vision of myself. I said, I want to speak to the Urban League and the NAACP, and all of a sudden, the phone went dead. So I called him back. I said, Mike, we lost the signal. He said, we didn't lose the signal. I said, what happened? He said, I hung up on you. I said, why in the hell would you hang up on me? He said, I don't want to work with somebody who has a limited vision of themselves. I want to work with somebody who wants to speak to the world. And he hung up again. So I called him back. I said, Mike, that's me. Can you help me? And one of the things I believe, ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And a lot of people won't ask for help because of pride. Pride cometh before a fall. Because of ego. Ego means edging God out. And so he asked me, are you coachable? I said, yes. He asked me, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? I said, yes. And I was willing to invest in myself. And when Warren Buffett, I studied the lives of successful people. Warren Buffett, when he graduated from college, the first thing he did, he took a communications course. Mr. Washington said to me, you want to make it? Develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. And so I saw the value of investing in myself, and I saw him speak. And I'm encouraging those of you who want to speak, find someone that you admire that's doing it on the level that you want to do it on, because you want to learn from someone who's been there, done it, that can shorten your learning curve. And so I loved how he used quotes, humor, and statistics. And I said, man, can you teach me to do it like you do it? And he said, if I'm a good coach, you'll be better than me. I said, Mike, I'll never be better than you. He said, yes, you will. And he was right, ultimately, because he said, when I give you what I got plus what you got, you're going to go further than I have. And so when we look at ourselves, what's very important that we discipline ourselves to take control of our minds. We're living in the distraction economy. There are all kinds of things that can distract us now. Artificial intelligence, Chat GPT. And so Chat GPT, to me, when you think about that, just that acronym, G stands for growth mindset. That the gathering spot is about expanding your mindset. Robert Schuller said, you either expand or you are expendable. The P stands for passion. Do what's in your heart. We've been conditioned and trained and indoctrinated to look for a job. Follow what's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Live a life that will outlive you. And the T stands for tenacity. Whatever you're going after, you're going to get some pushback. You're going to have some failures and disappointments. And Willie Jolly, a young man that I trained, he had a book called A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback. I've got a saying, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And so we're now in this space where it's the greatest, incredible time for us to do some incredible things. And what you have done, you and your partners, is so very important. Unless things change, unless people can get this concept, between now and 30 years from now, it will take 280 years for us to develop economic equity. It will take Latinos 70 years. A white high school dropout, according to the Federal Reserve out of Milwaukee, will create 3 times more wealth than a black college graduate. My new book is called You Gotta Be Hungry. They said that my birth mother, my grandmother, she was hungry to learn. And she taught herself how to read from the newspaper that was used on the walls in Gainesville to keep them warm from the winter. They were sharecroppers. And so as we look at ourselves and look out at our goals and dreams, this is the time. We have all the tools that we need and some. People talk about, we're going through some tough times. And I like what Shakespeare said. It says, nothing is neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. When you think about what Weldon Johnson said, stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We've come over a way that with tears have been watered. We've come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. We are the descendants of the ones that would not die. Every time I open up my presentations, I say, you've got greatness in you. And that you now have created a community where people can come, put in the time, the efforts, build a community of greatness that will allow them to turn adversity to their advantage.
I appreciate that. And truly, this thing it's us, right? It's never really been about, we started this thing in my apartment, but it's collectively been a we thing. I want to talk about the craft, right? There are a lot of folks that are trying to do, and it's embarrassing, right? Because they can't do you. You are.
They don't have to do me. All they have to do is do them.
They're not doing them very well in this. For folks that are interested in like the precision of the craft, right, of speaking well, what advice do you have for folks that want to take that journey? You've mentioned that you're mentoring a couple of folks, but what does it take to be good at being good?
First of all, we don't have the luxury of being good. We have to be great in whatever we do. So what Mike was saying, Brownie, I don't want to prepare you to be a black speaker. I don't want you to pigeonhole yourself. I want to train you how to speak to the world. This is how I train people. And what's very important is to get coaching from someone who has done what it is you want to do and overcome the odds. One of the things about any industry is that I looked and I started watching all the speakers that were out there, and I was looking for what is it that I can bring, and you and your team did that. That's going to be different. That's going to be unique. That's going to operate out of the thinking of Henry David Thoreau, who said, do not go where the path may lead, go where there's no path and leave a trail. You wanted to have something that will stand out and be unique. And so what I noticed that all of these light expression people were giving speeches, giving information from the book, Think and Grow Rich. Well, if information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. What made me stand out, I gave a speech about wanting to take care of my mother, a heart-centered speech, and shared with them the methods and the techniques, the setbacks, the failures, and the victories that I had to overcome within myself and outside of myself to be able to get on stage with people who had PhDs and MBAs that I did not have and be so impactful. And this is the kind of economy that we have now, that the world is so noisy that you have to have the skill set and know the rules of communication to distract, dispute, and inspire, to distract people from their current story. And as you present it, using the techniques and strategies that I teach them, they dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to have the courage to turn the page and create a new chapter in their lives. And so if they've got the coaching, like there's a basketball game tonight, the coaching is going to be very important on how those guys come out the locker room and decide how they're going to show up. So I was coachable. Most people are not coachable. Most people are failing because they don't know that they don't know and they think they know. But what's very important to me, not only effective communication skills, but what's important that I was impressed when I saw your video and I've been listening to the stories, because I don't go anywhere without doing my research. Your character. T.D. Jakes has a saying, Lord, don't let my talents take me where my character can't keep me. And so you aligned yourself with some people who have similar values. A lot of people talk about making money. 85% of the people who win the lottery lose it. And so, but having the kind of character, discipline, Socrates said, the undisciplined life is an insane life. To put in the time, the effort to study, to read. I disciplined myself to read, to study the various industries. I'll never forget, I spoke for Procter & Gamble. And when I spoke for them, there was another convention going on, and it's a pharmaceutical company. And so someone from that company saw me and said, can you come speak to our group too? And the reason they did is because of how I custom design my presentation. When I work with speakers, I teach them, never let what you want to say get in the way of what your audience needs to hear. And all that get understanding. And so the majority of speakers, they go around with a memorized script that they drop on an audience. And they see the audience as a transaction. I see the audience as candidates for transformation. And my goal is to give them the tools that allow them to manifest that new vision that they see of themselves. When I was coming along, you're too young to know this, but there was a comedian, Flip Wilson, who said, what you see is what you get. You know? Okay, you ever used to talk about Killer? Killer Mike was not the first killer, okay? And so that the reason that people are challenged now, we're going through a crisis crises in the Chinese language means danger, but it also means opportunity. In the 19th century, there were 1,000 millionaires. In the 2020th century, 2000, the beginning of the 2000th century, it's over 10 million. What has changed? The expansion of our minds, our information, our skills, and people getting together to do what you and your partners have done, to create something that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. And so I believe that this is an incredible time to be alive. More millionaires will be created in this time frame than any other time in history because of the adversity. I brought something I want you to look at. Where's this? And the reason I brought this here, Walt Disney had a nervous breakdown because his business partners stole his idea, his cartoon, Oswald. This is Oswald, the friendly rabbit. Now keep in mind, on the other side of adversity, that gives birth to tremendous opportunity to create something better. Universal Studios said, hey, you made that while you were working for us. We own it. They took it from him. He focused on, I got to do something else. That gave birth to Mickey Mouse, the happiest symbol in the world. Okay? So Marion White said that in life, when we don't have enough vision and courage to know that we have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on us. 300 million people are going to lose their jobs because of artificial intelligence. But I say 300 million people are going to be freed up to become entrepreneurs so they can live their dreams rather than their fears. Yes.
How these people can develop their story or let them know, because I know that there's a lot of people here, and we have probably 50 different countries around the world that watch this, and a lot of them aren't aware of you yet.
Yes.
But they need to be, right? They need to know about your products and services and coaching and all that stuff. We'll talk about that. Your story, what was the defining moment, that turning point for you that set your life on a different course?
Well, what set my life on a different course was when my mother became ill. Because I was a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. I'm adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. I'm telling you my story. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I hope to be, I owe to my mother. My mother was a domestic worker on Miami Beach. She cooked for families. We ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. And so as a child and goal, a turning point in my life was seeing my mother work so hard. I said, Eric, when I become a man, I want to take care of my mother. I want to ask you, is there someone that you want to take care of? Is there someone that you'd like to do something special for? I want you to think about that person right now. Now, what I've done by doing that, I have segued from my story. I have now brought them into the story, and I asked them, is there someone you want to do something special for? They're saying yes. Now, that is called an imaginative leap. They leap from my story into their own story and say, yes, I know somebody. I like to do something for my coach or for my minister or for my mother or for my father or an aunt that raised me, okay? So now they're in the story. Now I will tell them how I went about doing that. So they have an interest. Who are you? What do you have? I have a story on how I bought my mother a home. And why should I care? The reason you should care is that I've been very successful at doing something that you can do too. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So now you create a committed listening in the telling of the story. Or I can say, you know, Recently, I went to a seminar, a young lady by the name of Pauline Ahi. She came to the seminar. Pauline flew from Hawaii to Los Angeles. I was very inspired as I watched her. And the reason I was inspired, here we were in a room of entrepreneurs, and the person standing in front of the room, Dr. Julie Van Putten, as she was speaking and talking about discovering your power voice, ever so often Pauline would lean forward and she'd pick up a pen with her mouth and she would write with her mouth. Pauline came from Hawaii. Pauline has no arms. Pauline has no legs. She writes with her mouth. Here's a person who decided to become an entrepreneur, who decided to build a business in multi-level marketing. And with no arms and no legs, she's building an organization. And one of the things that really got me, when Dr. Julie Van Putten interviewed Pauline, she asked her, tell me one major obstacle you had in your life. Tell me something you can think of. And Pauline looked and she thought and she said, I can't think of anything. And that grabbed me, because I could have given a whole lot of things, a list of obstacles. And that showed me that L.C. Robinson was right when he said things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that really count are the things that happen in you. Even though she was born with no arms and no legs, what has happened in her, that she sees herself as an empowered person. She has not decided to become a part of a job, the journey of the broke. She decided to control her own destiny by being involved in multi-level marketing. And what I said as I looked at her, if Pauline can do it, I know I can do it. And I know you can do it. Okay. So there's a story.
How many more you got? Keep going.
Yeah. So those examples, I mean, Mike Jones out of Philadelphia. I met him. Mike was earning $500 a month on Social Security. He now earns over $35,000 a month, and he does a seminar called How to Earn Over $200,000 a Year with Your Eyes Closed. He's been blind since he was 10. Okay, so all of these examples of what we see, other people's lives, we can use that as a platform to,
whether it's your story or somebody else's story. That's the example that you're giving.
Yes, and people say
I don't have success yet.
Yes.
They're just getting started. I haven't had success. I've been involved for 6 months. I haven't had success, but I can tell this other story and I can say that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Dexter Yeager, who was a beer truck driver, and now 50% of Amway volume comes through his organization. Dexter was just an everyday guy who decided that he wanted to live a different life for himself and for his family. And so when we look at people who are the great performers in multi-level marketing, here's what I know that they have in common too. Not only are they great storytellers, but there was a deciding moment, and that moment when they said virtually, I've had it. I've had it. That's when people change. I used to live next door to a lady named Miss Lillian, and Mr. Marvin, every Friday night he would get drunk and beat her. And I saw her years later and said, how's Mr. Marvin doing? She said, I left him. I said, why? She said, I'd had it. I'd had it with Marvin beating on me. That's when people leave jobs and they say, well, where are you going? Away from here. I've had it. You know, I was working on a job where they paid me just enough to keep me from quitting it. I worked just hard enough to keep from getting fired. So finally, I said, you know what? I've had it. Going where I'm celebrated rather than tolerated. I've had it living and playing small. And so those kinds of examples and that kind of passion, people are not just looking for information. They're looking for personality and passion. They can get information on the internet. There are no secrets out here. You can just Google everything and find out what day the earth was made and the rock that broke Goliath's jaw. We can find everything right now. But personality and passion, that's what people want. That's what they buy into. Do you believe this? The difference between being in this business and this business being in you. That's what they feel. And the people that grow the large organizations, you can tell being in their presence that as much as they have chosen this, they were chosen for this kind of work. You've got to have a passion for people. You've got to believe in the product. You've got to believe in the industry. You've got to believe that you have it within yourself to become an entrepreneur, that it's possible that you can live your dream. That's why people say yes, that it's necessary, and that you are the driving force to make it happen, that it's you, that nobody can do it for you. Nobody's going to care more about your dream than you, and that it's hard, that easy is not an option. That when you think about growing your organization, think it not strange that your family members and friends will say no. People who should be there to help you won't help you. In fact, they will discourage you.
They will laugh at you. Oh, you're involved in some pyramid scheme. Here you go again. All of that's going to be a part of it. When you get on an airplane before they take off, they say fasten your seatbelt. Why? Because you're going to experience some turbulence before you reach a comfortable altitude. When you get involved in multi-level marketing, fasten your psychological seatbelts. Why? Because you're going to experience rejections and no and laughter and snickers from your family members and friends. Why? I don't know. That's just the way it is. It's possible you can live your dreams in spite of that. It's necessary for you to know that you're the one to make it happen, and that you become selective of people that you bring into the business. You don't want to convince people to do it, because person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. You want people who want more, not people who need more. And that it's you. You've got to be the driving force, and it's hard and it's worth it. Decide now. Write down 5 reasons on why you won't give up. 5 reasons when you're facing the rejections and the no's, when people don't show up at the parties, when people don't keep their word. 5 reasons why you will stick in the game. I have a saying, when life knocks you down, trying to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Your reasons will help you get back up again. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. So it's possible you can build an incredible organization, make a great living for yourself. And it's necessary. If you're casual about your dream, as Bill Bailey said, you will end up a casualty. And it's you, and it's hard, and it's worth it. And once you create that momentum, it's done. Stick a fork in it. It's done.
So it's possible.
Yes.
The second one?
Yes, and the reason it's possible, what's possible for one is possible for all. If anybody built an incredible organization, went across the stage and got a check because of their work and their effort, then it's possible that everybody seated there as witnesses can do it.
Right.
And that it's necessary.
It's necessary is number 2.
Yeah, you got to have a game plan. You got to be willing to stick it out. You got to be willing to persist. Og Mandino said you got to be willing to say, I will persist until I succeed. And, the greatest salesman in the world. And you got to say to yourself your mantra, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. Because in the beginning, things look real good.
Right.
And then you have a dry spell. And then you start questioning yourself. And that's what over 85% of people do. And it's you. You got to take personal responsibility. You're going from being a volunteer victim of letting somebody tell you what time to be to work, how long your lunch break will be, what time to get off, how many days you can be sick out of the year, how many days you can go on vacation, you got to ask for permission. You're going from that position of powerlessness and being weak, because most people have developed an addiction to powerlessness. That's why the majority of people you ask to come into this business will say no. They have developed an addiction to powerlessness. When you're working with somebody else's job, they are controlling your financial future. So you are different. You are not common. You are uncommon when you said yes to this dream.
Yeah, stop for a second. An addiction to powerlessness.
Yes.
I've never heard it said that way. And I think that's really interesting, the way you say that. Because we've been taught.
We've been groomed and been taught to depend on a job, to look forward to a job. People looking for jobs in an economy where jobs are shrinking. We cannot produce enough jobs. The government cannot produce enough jobs to replace the jobs that are being eliminated through technology and cheap labor abroad. I can get a PhD in the Philippines for $500 a month. When I was a kid, I used to work in a bowling alley. They knocked the pins down, we jumped down, and we straightened the pins back up. Somebody invented a trade that put us out of business. I used to work on the elevator. What floor, please? And I would punch the elevator. No, you don't need that now. When I was in school, my girlfriend said, I want to be an operator. When you made a long distance call, you call an operator place to call. Now you call direct. So technology is changing things, replacing whole industries. When the last time you went to the store and bought some envelopes and a stamp and some stationery and a pen to write a letter? We don't do that now. We text, we email. That's an industry that's eroding. I went to a school, Bill Gates School in Philadelphia. They don't have paper, all computer, a paperless school. That's different. When I was a kid, we carried books to school. So this is the era the late Peter Drucker calls the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. What we have in multi-level marketing is cooperation and collaboration, people working together in a community of achievers to help everybody win. That's the exciting thing, that when I help you win, then I win also.
You have a lot of quotes. Do you advise to have a lot of quotes to grow?
You know what? I just went downstairs to the hotel and asked them,
what is my room number? I don't know where these quotes come from. I study a lot. When I first started out, I disciplined myself to learn about 3 quotes a day. Somebody taped me one time. I gave a lecture at a Manpower conference with Bishop T.D. Jakes, and they said I did over 215 quotes, and I never repeated myself. So I love quotes. It's a passion of mine, and so they come up when they come up at the appropriate time.
And you have your own quotes?
I have my own, and I study a lot of other individuals. And once I hear it, I repeat it to myself and reuse it in conversation. When I'm training speakers, I tell them the best speakers are the best listeners, to listen to things that touch your heart and then use it in conversation over and over again, and then use it on stage when you're speaking to an audience.
Yeah, not only you and your thought, but also the people who are...
Everybody that's around you.
Great. And do you advise to people to write their own quotes?
I think that yes, you want to write, but sometimes you are saying them and you can't hear them because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so when I tell people, if you're speaking, to always record yourself, because there are things that's going to come up, inspiration, revelations you will receive. You say, whoa, where did that
it was
come
great.
from? That's right, yes. And so you want to record that.
I record everything.
Yes, that's good. That's a very good habit.
I have a weird question for you. Maybe the first time you have this question. According to you, how can we become a loser? Do you have advice?
I think that the key to being a loser,
very important,
is not loving and appreciating yourself.
Okay.
And allowing what other people think of you become more important to you than what you think of yourself.
Wow. It's a new advice. Great key.
Yeah. That we were born to do something. You're here to do a work. The 2 most important moments in our lives, it's been said, the day that we're born and the day that we realize why we were born. And if you don't know, if you want to live a life of misery, don't try and find out. But if you want to live a life that has meaning and value and a sense of direction, spend as much time as you possibly can to answer the question, why am I here? And not
so you wonder yourself a lot of time.
Yes, and don't ask what is the meaning of life. Ask what is the meaning of my life? What am I supposed to do? What is this work that I was chosen, that God saw something in you, that you were chosen 1 out of 400 million sperm. He saw something in David. What was it that he saw? He saw something in Judah. He saw something in Les. There was something that caused us to be here. And I believe there's a work for us to do. That there's something that if we don't do it, then the world will be deprived. And finding out what that something is, that element, the element is when what you love to do and what you were born to do come together, that will allow you to show up in life in a bigger way.
So our job is to find what we love.
What is it you love to do, that you weren't born to work for a living, but to live your making, and living your making will make your living.
Yeah.
Take responsibility for your life. Now that's very important. Remember what Bishop said last night about Adam? Adam, when God asked him what happened, Adam did not want to take responsibility for what he had done. Men have always tried to escape that. Now, you know that we believe a lot in marches. Let me tell you something. Here's a march I like to enroll you on. I want 1 million men to march to a mailbox to give support payments. Just drop some support payments in the mailbox to children that you have helped to create, that you have been irresponsible and you're not taking care of. Don't give that money to the airlines or the bus stations or the hotels. Send that money to those mothers that are still there dealing with and raising those children. Own your stuff. Come here, owner. Where's my daughter? Come here, owner. I got a call 5 years ago from this person here. I happened to be at the office late at night. See, I believe in being open and being honest with you. And the call was, tell them what you said to me.
I said, if you had a child in this world that you were unaware of, a descendant in this world that you were unaware of, would you or would you not want to know?
What did I say?
You said, yes, I would want to know.
So I told her I wanted to know. And I said, send me some pictures. She sent me some pictures overnight. I saw this file. I said, that's mine. Sent one of my sons to pick her up. He drove her from Columbus to Detroit. He came in first, said, Daddy, my sister's right behind me. And we've been together ever since. And I'm not ashamed of her. I can't unscramble these eggs and don't want to. But I have to take responsibility that this is my daughter. And I take care of my daughter. Ain't she gorgeous? I'm trying to fatten her up. She got little legs. I'm trying to find a husband while we're here. Got legs so small you can sue him for non-support. That's why she wearing pants. Well, okay, thank you, baby. Give her a round of applause, all right? Now, so the reason I'm telling you that we got to start owning our stuff as men. Don't make no big deal. Can you imagine what will happen if 1 million men decide to go to the mailbox and just unexpectedly drop just what you can? Don't have to have a return address in case they're looking for you. You don't have to put that on there. If you real behind, you understand what I'm talking about? I ain't say be no fool now. Now, the only reason I can put a return address on this because I have an MBA. Somebody say, oh, I got you. I say you don't have a college degree. I don't. The MBA stands for mega bank account. So anyhow, join me, man. Don't tell me, well, I don't like her. She got an old man, or she don't need my money, or the children don't look like me. I went to court in the fraternity suit with a friend of mine named Ronnie. And he went to the judge. The judge said, why aren't you paying child support? He said, the babies don't look like me. The judge said, well, feed them till they do. But as men, see, we can't teach our sons to be responsible if they don't see us being responsible, if they don't feel that we care. So don't say, well, I don't have it. Get it. That doesn't let you off the hook. Write down the next R. And that is not only responsibility, but be resourceful. A lot of men, I don't have it. I had it, I'll give it. If the women had that kind of attitude, the children would starve to death. The reason that they eat, the reason that they have some place to stay and to lay their heads and have clothes on their backs, because the women decide, I'm going to make it happen no matter what, and they're resourceful. My mama raised 7 without a man. She cooked. She cleaned houses. Here's something else that will cause you to reach your goals when you leave here. Write this down. Reasons, compelling reasons. While you're here, when you make this covenant with God, when you decide to live like a conqueror, when you decide to become more successful, to create wealth, to be a change agent in your community, what is it that can keep you on the straight and narrow, that will cause you to keep your commitment to your commitment? I used to do door-to-door sales with a man named Sam Axelrod. Sam Axelrod was intrigued by me because when he came to pick me up, he didn't have to blow his horn. I was downstairs waiting for Sam when he came around the corner. And unlike the men that work with him and other young people, when it got dark and Sam blew the horn, everybody ran to the station wagon. And they would do a head count. And they'd say, who's here? So everybody's here except Les. And they say, hey, Les, come on. No, I'm not coming, Sam. Why? I haven't sold anything. No one's sold anything, Les. It's a long run from Liberty City to Overtown. You got to pass the 20th Street Sharks and the 14th Street Gang. The jitneys will stop running soon. I can't stop, Sam, until I sell something. See, my reason for going door to door is different than everybody else. Most people out there are trying to make some extra money to party on the weekend, or to buy a new outfit or a new bicycle. The reason that I was working was to take care of my mama. The reason that I was working is because I was working on Miami Beach with my mother. And she was working for a family called the Sidursky family. And one day when I was outside raking the yard, I came in, and my mother was on the floor, on her knees, cleaning up some grease spots that Mrs. Sidursky had spilt some grease. My mother was 56 at the time. She adopted us when she was 40. And I came in, my mother had arthritis in her knees. And I could hear her moaning at different times when she moved on her knees on this hard linoleum floor. And I said, Mrs. Sidursky, can I do that for my mother and you can have her do something else? She said, if it's all right with Mamie. And my mother said, no, son, that's all right. I said, no, Mama, it's not all right. I don't want you on your knees, Mama. Please let me do it, baby. And I helped my mother up. And Mrs. Sidursky said, Mamie, go in the other room and find that hat I was looking for earlier. And my mother went in the other room, and I heard her clapping her hands. I said, Mama. She said, what, boy? I said, baby, why are you clapping your hands? She said, don't worry, just keep on doing what you're doing. Then after a while, Mrs. Sidursky said, Mamie, maybe it's in the other room. Go look in there. Mama went in the other room, and sure enough, she started clapping her hands again, Bishop. I said, Mama, why are you clapping your hands? She said, didn't I tell you to pay attention to what you're doing? Then at that moment, Mrs. Sidursky came over. She said, I can tell you why she's clapping her hands. I said, why, ma'am? She said, well, because when I have domestic workers looking for something and they're out of my view, I make them clap their hands to make sure that they're not stealing. I put the scrub brush down and I stood up. I said, excuse me, Mrs. Sidursky. I don't mean any disrespect, ma'am. My mother raised us to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. But my mother's a Christian. She would never steal from you or anyone. When my mama talk about your children, when she talks to her friends, she say, my children, the Sidursky children. She loves you and your husband and your children. She would never steal from you. And she just walked away. Later that evening, when we were riding across the Venetian Causeway, I was very quiet. And my mother noticed it. I was not my bubbly self. She said, what's wrong, son? I said, Mama, I wish I was a man. She said, boy, you're 16 years old. You'll be a man soon enough. I said, no, Mama. I want to be a man now, because if I was a man, right now, we would never have to wear somebody else's hand-me-down clothes that their children no longer want. I'll be able to buy clothes for my brothers and sisters and you. If I was a man, we would never have to eat anybody's leftover food that you cooked for, because I'll be able to buy us groceries if I was a man. If I was a man, Mama, no one would ever have you on your knees cleaning up grease that they spill. And nobody would ever make you clap your hands because they think that you're stealing. If I was a man, Mama, I'll take care of you. She said, Mrs. Sidursky told you that, didn't she? I said, yes, ma'am. So if I was a man, you would never cook for anybody but me. My mama used to fix a kind of sweet potato pie that you couldn't eat with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you can wiggle your toes. And when we would go door to door, sometimes as late as 10 o'clock at night, I would knock on the door. Who's there? Would you like to buy a nice working television set, no money down? Boy, are you crazy? Yes, I am crazy. I'm crazy about my mama, and I'm going to take care of her. And I'm going to sell a television set tonight, and it might as well be you. And after a while, somebody will say, come on in here, boy, and that better be a good set. What are the reasons? Write down while you're here at this Manpower Conference. Write down 5 compelling reasons of why you're going to keep your commitment to change your life. Keep your commitment never to go back to the life that you once lived. Keep your commitment to creating wealth for yourself, to taking care of your children, to be more responsible, to manifest Christ in you, in your life, in your community. Keep your commitment to live a life of contribution, to keep your commitment to be a conqueror and to act like it and to have authority and dominion over everything in your life. What are those reasons? I got on one of my tapes, if life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Your reasons will help you to get back up again. They'll be your rod and staff to comfort you. So you got to write down 5 reasons on everything that Bishop is saying, and Bishop Merritt and all the different speakers and the relationship seminar that Brother Lewis Greenup will do. How you will incorporate the principles from this Manpower Conference in your life and live them and manifest them and support them.